Okay, so hi everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for our December QualiWare user group meeting and open house. We have some folks online from QualiWare joining us as well, some trusted partners on the line joining us as well from CBP Software, and we also have some customers, consultants, and CloseReach employees joining us live in the CloseReach training room. Today, I'm going to go through the agenda with you after I talk about a little bit of housekeeping, which you've all seen before. Cameras and microphones for the folks that are online, please feel free to turn them on or off as you wish. Please feel free to ask questions. Just take yourself off mute or raise your hand during any of the presentations, and I will keep an eye on things in case people have questions or have comments to make. The meeting is being recorded, so I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. And is there anybody new online or in the room who wants to say hello and introduce themselves? I think everybody's been with us before, so I will just get started.
You should have told them that the meeting is being recorded. I would have done my hair differently today.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Especially now that, especially as you're
got a new do.
Phil's got a new do. There you go. All right. The agenda that we have for today, Kevin is going to go through some CloseReach news and a bit of a year-end recap, just to talk about a few things that we've done over the past year at CloseReach and QualiWare. We have a discussion, a slide about some new learning services offerings. I'm actually going to be speaking to that slide instead of Brenda. She decided that she wasn't going to stay for the full meeting with everybody. Upon arrival at the office, unfortunately, she realized that she wasn't feeling very well, so she had to leave, and she's going to leave that slide to me. Then Kirill is going to go through some product updates, both QualiWare and CloseReach related. With the release of 10.10 this year, we've spent the last few meetings taking different aspects of the tool and showcasing it to you. So we're going to continue that today, and he will go through and talk about the patch that we just received. He's going to talk about the pie chart plus query, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some CloseReach products, how to do business impact analysis using QualiWare, and then a little sneak preview on something that we're working on related to AI governance. We'll wrap things up with open forum and talk a little bit about next month's meeting, which will be at the end of January. And we're going to continue this theme of exploring different aspects of QualiWare 10.10 in our meetings. So in the January meeting, we do have something lined up to discuss there as well. So I will turn things over to Kevin to get us started with some CloseReach news and the year-end recap.
Yeah. So over the past year, new customers for CloseReach, General Dynamics Mission Systems, that was QualiWare, licensing, ECCC, so a new department. We're in the EA group there, and even before we were fully deployed, their Office of Continuous Improvement has reached out to us and are going to be using the tool set for compliance management. So they are our first compliance management customer. AAFC has returned. They were a QualiWare customer in the late teens. Went away for a little while, but back now. And ISED, and we've got a contract with them from a quality and compliance point of view. So not QualiWare, but services related. And we'll work them over to the QualiWare side. In terms of recaps, QualiWare updates, we've got 10.10, which was released in September, and there's a 10.10.1 patch, which includes the fix for some of the AI capabilities in QualiWare. And we've just received that. We're in the process of doing our testing and we will push that out to everyone shortly. So a lot of new capabilities with the streamlined UI. And again, we'll continue to showcase some of these things over the next few months. I have a favor to ask of people. If you get a chance, Infotech software review. Some of you should have had emails about that. If you get a chance, if you could go to that link, we'd appreciate some discussion about your QualiWare experiences. Very positive, but with these guys, it's a numbers game, right? So higher ranked because people have come in and said something about the tool. So we'd appreciate your doing so. Our discovery repository, we've updated to version 10.10, and we'll be applying the 10.10.1 patch that we've just received to address the AI capabilities in that repository. And again, that repository is demonstrating all of the different capabilities of the tool. And we're also updating our solutions that we've developed for vendor management, for credentials management, and procurement requests. So these are custom developed configurations that can be quickly deployed. So, and Kyril's showing a few of before and afters. So lots of big tiles here, with we're able to collapse a lot of those things into much simpler views so that screens aren't as busy and there's a lot better information displayed, again, based on roles. So pretty happy with, again, with what we've been doing and being able to combine tiles and links to other parts of the system with graphs and different diagram types and images. So you can, deliver a lot of value on a particular desktop. So, okay, we have new video resources. So if you go to our YouTube channel, there's an 8-minute end-to-end introduction to QualiWare up on our YouTube channel. That's quite descriptive. Use that if you're talking to groups and departments and areas in your department that are wondering how they might be able to use QualiWare. It's not a detailed technical video, but talks a lot about the features and benefits of the tool. There's also a guide for managing and document APIs in QualiWare. So we've taken Pascal's presentation from the October meeting and boiled it down to, I believe, just under 15 minutes. So it's a lot more compact. And I think there's some real value there in talking about how to use APIs and generate them and use them for passing information into and out of QualiWare. And Ryan from our office here, one of our co-op students, was instrumental in doing that. So we've actually used a couple of different AI tools to help us boil that down and produce a very good quality video about that. And those are featured videos on our YouTube channel.
The charges associated to this contract we are going to remove that needs to be refunded by the care team.
Hey, Mike, you gotta mute yourself.
Okay.
Hang on just a sec.
Is that a question?
I think that was a comment. I think that
I'm
was a
multitasking.
That's okay. No
Go.
worries.
I want to talk a minute about procurement and contracting. I think everybody knows how difficult procurement and contracting is right now in the federal space. We are trying to reactivate the potential for an ACAN for QualiWare services and software. So for people that were around, there was an ACAN as our other contract was going to be ending. CBSA submitted to PSPC the requirements for an advanced contract award notice to make it easy to procure services, training, and software. That ACAN was set aside when a couple of other companies said, "Oh, we can provide, similar things." Even though their submission was non-compliant, PSPC had an internal rule that said, well, somebody else said they could do it, so we're going to go out to RFP. And they spent 12 or 15 months trying to put together that RFP. And before it was sent out, they canceled it. So we're trying to get the ACAN reinstated to make it easy for existing customers and new customers to access services. So an advanced contract award notice makes it very, very simple to do that. If you have the bandwidth and if you have the ability, I would ask you to reach out to CBSA, who is the sponsoring department for the other GCEA solution contract that we had. And, we would like them, and we're going to be talking to them about potentially going back to PSPC to get that ACAN actually put in place. We're also pursuing some other paths to try to make that happen. But departments saying that they're having a hard time procuring resources, would go a long way. So if you can help us, that would be great. I wanted to talk about events that we were at and events that we're going to be at. We were at Apex again this past year. That's the leadership summit that runs in May for all the EXs. And we're going to go to it again this year. We think it was a really good way to meet executives. Cove Demo Days actually was demonstrations in Halifax Harbor. So we were open air on the edge of the harbor there. Thank goodness it was a good day and it wasn't raining, and it anyhow met some interesting people, and our team in Halifax, Leslie and Bruce there, were helping us out and did a great job. We were just at the Atlantic Technology Summit again in Halifax, and again, it's a fair bit of activity in the Halifax space, and we're talking to D&D out there as well, which have quite a presence. So, and the Royal Ottawa, who are the people that we support here from donation and financial perspective. So at Apex, everybody who scanned the QR code that we had there, we made a donation to the Royal Ottawa on their behalf. So we're going to continue to support the Royal Ottawa. So a few pictures of us at different locations.
And the Atlantic Technology Summit as well. Brenda Cowie from QualiWare was there. We co-sponsored that with QualiWare.
Yeah. So Brenda had they actually ran it in a Cineplex. So all the booths were out in the main area, the big area, and the food was pumped out by Cineplex, and they brought stuff in. But
it's the only time I'll ever be on the big screen, Kevin.
Yeah, they used.
I was going to say, and you were on a big screen, weren't you?
It was a bit too big. It was too much Brenda. Yeah.
Brenda.
Way too much Brenda. Yeah.
Anyhow, it was quite interesting actually venue to use, and so they ran it during the day and shut it down just before the theaters opened that evening. So kind of interesting venue.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
you had comfy chairs.
Yes. Well, for the presentations we did, yes. In terms of training updates, last year we delivered our business architecture course in Halifax for the first time, and we're scheduling one for 2026. We've had a little bit of interest, but not enough here in Ottawa for a course. We've got a QualiWare web basic course running December 17th and 18th. So if there's anybody in your departments that wants some training on the web interface and QualiWare Basic, then there's an opportunity right there. And then I'm going to turn it over to Cecile imitating Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you. So I wanted to give some updates on CloseReach's learning services team. And we have some new things planned for the coming year. So I'm just going to quickly touch on these. I won't do as good a job as Brenda because she'd be able to go into things in much better detail. But our QualiWare Basic web course has been updated to 10.10, and we'll be scheduling the first run of that in the new year, hopefully in the first quarter. So, as you guys are updating to QualiWare 10.10, and I know a few of you have already CFIA and Environment Canada and Transport Canada. And so I know some of you are there already. If you want to send some of your folks on basic training, we'll be running a course in the first quarter of the year. We've also worked on some pre-recorded course offerings, and the first one that we did was governance, and we're going to be launching that early in 2026. It will be self-paced, so to facilitate on-demand learning. So look for some news about that to come out just after we come back from the holidays. We're not going to send anything out right now because it'll just get lost in all of the December crush of trying to get things done before you leave to go on your Christmas break. So we'll be coming out with something about that in the new year when we get back. We'll also be launching some micro learnings. So what we've done is taken a recorded course and created micro learnings, small, short videos to teach a specific concept or to refresh a skill that you already have. So that's going to be available through our support portal, and it's going to facilitate some just-in-time learning. So if you've taken a course previously and you don't remember how to do something, you'll be able to go to the support portal and look this up, and it will give you a little, just that particular topic that you're trying to figure out. So we'll be starting that in Q1. We're going to start with the governance workflow micro learnings, and then we would potentially be expanding those, just like with the pre-recorded courses, to include possibly the QualiWare Advanced, maybe Publisher. We'll see what the demand is like. And then lastly, in the new year, we're going to launch something called Ask the Architect. And we will be soliciting questions for a lunch and learn session with an architect to go over a particular topic that they might be struggling with as it pertains to QualiWare or enterprise architecture concepts. So the idea here is to have our customers join together on a monthly lunch and learn session, 45 minutes, to have some questions answered that you might be, wanting to discuss with an architect. So that will be an initiative launched in early in the new year, and we are hoping that we get lots of interest from that and some good uptake. And then, obviously it will be dependent on the types of questions that we get asked. We'll probably seed it with something of our own first, but then hopefully we'll get feedback from our customers and our community so that we can continue to host those on a monthly basis.
So it doesn't have to be QualiWare, related specifically. It could be a general architecture type question, how you would approach something, in a particular situation. So that's why it's not ask about QualiWare, it's ask the architect. And anyhow, cool. Everybody's training, different, putting people through different kinds of training, in terms of architecture and things like that. There's the shared services program and things like that. So people have questions, and so you can ask an experienced person who's got 10 or 15 years experience how they would handle a particular scenario or situation. That's the concept behind this. Adam, you had a question?
Yeah, who's that open to?
Everybody.
Everybody.
We could advertise at the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
more the merrier. Hopefully, our ideal situation is that we have too much demand because it's so popular. So yes, please, when you receive, if you get my email, because I know sometimes you guys have challenges, when you get the email with the information about it, yes, it's open to all of our customers. So it'll be great. Okay. So that's our CloseReach news and learning services update. And now we're going to move on to the part of the meeting that you've all been waiting for. And that's the product update part, where Carol is going to talk a little bit about some QualiWare and CloseReach related updates. And I'm going to turn things over to you. Do you want to share, or do you want me just to continue along here?
I am going to share my screen. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. Second. All right. I'm assuming you can see my screen. Can you guys?
Yeah, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, Carol, so
Okay.
if anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And in the
Excellent.
room,
Thank
you'll
you.
have to yell or something because I can't see you very well. So somebody will have to speak up if you have questions for Carol.
That'd be great. All right, guys. So we got a quite a packed agenda as far as the product updates. I'm going to start with patch details and spend a couple of minutes talking about the patch details and then some of the highlights there that we gathered from those notes. Then we're going to jump into that pie chart plus query. It's actually a new 1010 feature, which should have been mentioned in release notes. Honestly, it deserves its own topic and rubric and its own section on the release notes. So kudos, that's back to you. But truly, I think it's a very powerful feature. That's the reason why we are talking about it today. Then we're going to be talking about delivering executive value, and we've built out of the box desktop essentially, which we think really resonates with management and executives. We have had a couple of customer demos with it, and a number of clients and customers who we showed it to, they said, you know what, it makes total sense. It really is something that I would like to use, and it's something that we would like to have in our organization. It's nothing extraordinary. It's a combination of 10.9 content, 10.10, something that has been around in QualiWare forever, but we kind of mix and match it together to provide that executive value for the management. Then we're going to be talking about business impact analyses using QualiWare, and we had showcased that previously with one of the examples, I believe a few months back, or maybe even a year ago. But we've expanded the use cases, and I think, guys, you'll appreciate some of those, use cases and top tasks that are driving from that impact analysis. And then finally, we will do a preview, a little bit of a teaser there on the AI governance desktop that we've been working on. I had that in my mind for the past year or so, and you know what, finally 1010 is out, and we felt that now is a good time to create something that would be relevant to the AI governance. Everybody's talking about AI, and you know what, maybe we need to jump on the train right now until it's not too late. But in reality, it's going to be a preview. I'm going to be talking about a little bit of what is AI governance, what are the benefits of AI governance, and what do we envision to the desktop to be like when it's fully developed. All right. Product update. So 10.10.1 patch details, some of the highlights. 14 defects are fixed from that 10.10.1 patch release notes. Number one, and one of the biggest one, I would say, the QualiChat is now fixed. The performance when enabling the QualiChat is now fixed, so we are now fully be able to explore the QualiChat and AI agents capabilities in QualiWare. And now we can use Azure AI with GPT-5 model to showcase entire powerhouse of QualiChat and see how it can drive some insights around your repository and around your organization. The PowerPoint generation is also fixed. Some of you have been asking about it. As you guys know, we did a little bit of a roadshow with 1010 showcasing to almost every single one of our customers. And a lot of questions were about PowerPoint generation and the master slide deck and whether it's fixed or not. It is fixed. So as part of the release notes, it is fixed, and we will be closely trying to set up our own master slide deck within that PowerPoint generation feature and see how it plays out and how user-friendly it is to generate PowerPoints from, the content in QualiWare. Now, we will be sending out emails in regarding to download instructions on Monday. So Monday, you're gonna get an email from Cecile or from somebody from customer support with patch notes as well as the link to download that patch. I want to go quickly back to the patch notes itself. This is what they look like. It's a combination of 10.10.1 as well as 10.10 notes. So we have primarily focused on those 14 defects that's been fixed. And again, what I was talking about here was the performance degradation on 10.10 when enabling QualiChat. Again, it's something that a lot of our clients and we as CloseReach anticipated to get fixed, and that's done. So we are happy to explore the AI capabilities. And then the other thing would be PowerPoint. So that's fixed as well. So as we are moving along with the exploration, we'll be keeping our clients up to date on our exploration work, and then we'll let you know how it goes. Are there any questions about patch notes? No?
Right
Okay.
now.
All right. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slides. Right. So pie chart plus query, or it's actually called the business chart data view method in QualiWare. And it is quite powerful. I think it's a game changer. Again, we showcased to some of you that feature, and you guys, one of the comments I do remember was, well, if we have this feature, why do we need Power BI? Because realistically, that pie chart and having the data present near the pie chart and slicing and dicing the data together makes a lot of sense. It's truly a game changer. So I'm going to go into the demo environment right now, and I'll be showcasing that. So what does it look like? I'm actually going to demonstrate that on one of the views, the contract report. So you see the pie chart, and the pie chart consists of data and information, and then you have the query or a catalog or a content table associated with it. Now, previously, whenever you clicked on any of those pie pieces, it would not recalculate the data. It would essentially be just sitting there, and you would have to enable an additional tab in a classic view, or you would have to do another manipulation adjustments or workarounds to get the data seen in one place. Now you can have it presented on one tile, which is now a dashboard item. You will have a pie chart or any other chart, and then obviously you can manipulate that by removing appropriate, data elements from the pie chart. But now you can recalculate the content. So when you click on that pie piece, you will notice that the data is recalculated. You can fully slice and dice it, do the filtering, and do the sorting relevant to that data. Again, it is something that's new in 10.10, and kudos to Kudo for doing that really feature and enabling that feature in 10.10.
Hey, it was Usman who fixed this
you go.
during the weekend. So it was a
Okay.
requirement from a customer. So
It-
just don't hold back. We have people who can fix things. But I agree, it's a very, very nice feature.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. Thank you, Kuno. Yeah, so now you guys can slice and dice data right directly in there. It changes the landscape on report and analyses in QualiWare. Honestly, it does. Previously, you would have to have, you know, a relevant tile to the chart, and then you would have a QRV somewhere sitting there. You would have to click on that QRV. Now, guys, as you notice, you no longer have to do that, right? In 1010, you can have the QRVs and queries presented right in the main page. And then now it kind of combines that business chart data view to provide you the full insights around particular topic or particular content in your repository. So similar example would be in document management. I'm going to show you one more example. Again, we're taking document management and then we kind of slice and dice in that information, and it recalculates things and it provides you that data on the fly. Hey, Kuno, since you're here, I'm going to ask you a question. Is that also relevant to the bar charts and all of the other chart types?
Yes.
It is. So
Yes.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
So now you can have, you know, all sorts of different charts and then relevant queries associated with it. I want to show you some of the other examples in the application of that feature, not just to the contract and document management, but also to some, you know, popular use cases in QualiWare, and that would be APM, business process management, compliance, and so on. So we have been playing with that feature, and we're still in a little bit in the exploration mode, but the use cases are quite powerful as to what you can do with that business chart data view. Imagine you have process reports sitting right there. So we've built that desktop specifically with four of those business chart data views. Now you have the report about your processes. This could be either a governance state information, or it could be anything else. And then again, you slice and dice in data and get the relevant real-time data feed into your decision-making process. You have audit information. Now you can do the audit and compliance related work directly on one screen without jumping from one tile to another, or, you know, making multiple clicks. You also have an application report. So application portfolio management could definitely benefit from that. Governance statuses or life cycles. Hey, I want to slice and dice my life cycles. What is going out of commission in next year? What is phasing out? Or if you want to apply time analyses, imagine you apply time analysis to an application report. You got toleration, you know, tolerate, migration, elimination, number of applications, and then you want to slice and dice them. And on the fly, you could rationalize your applications and understand where we should be making those investments. Where should we be getting rid of those applications because they are redundant? So it is truly a great number of use cases with which you can use those pie charts plus queries. Any questions, guys, or comments from?
I think they're just also amazed. That's how I'm going to interpret it.
Okay.
Can you go back to the contract management one?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm interested in the one up at the top, actually.
Okay.
So here I can highlight different things to raise, you know, things that might be in my to-do list, but here I can flag things that need immediate attention.
Quite powerful, and that's something new in 1010. Didn't want to bring this up as a topic for this discussion, but yes, it's truly powerful as well, and gives you an immediate analysis and state of the affairs in your business. So, all right. I guess question to you folks before I move on from the pie charts and queries. Can you guys see how it could be applied in your organization? I'm gonna call somebody out from the group. Vince or Sam? Jump in.
Where can it not be used?
There you go. Okay, I like that.
So many places this could be applied. As long as you have the data,
As long as you, yeah.
right? Picture's worth 1,000 words.
And we gave you the API work last week and in the new video for figuring out how that works. So easy enough to pull that in.
There you go. I'm gonna go back to the charts and just quickly summarize. So again, process related information, application. Again, not just governance statuses, but any type of relevant data to you guys, whether you want to rationalize the data or an application, understand the redundancy, also understand the obsolescence of your application portfolio. Again,
Carol, if you go
real
back,
life. Yeah.
if you go back one, so these are live links to the actual flows, right? Like the actual
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
or workflows, right? So I can
That is
link
right.
to that, it'll open it, and I can close it, and I'll still be on this window. Which is a lot
Yes.
different than the old, you know, when you clicked on something, you lost your place in that QRV. Here you don't.
Actually, let me. I don't know if it works like this. Let me go back and we'll test it
Okay,
out
now we're
together.
going off into live
All
demo
right.
land. Hang on now.
All right. Okay, I know. I like taking the risk, and I'll take you with me, guys.
All right.
All right. Well, it does actually bring you back. It takes you to another place, Kevin.
Oh, it does that.
It does, but you can easily go back to the main screen here. Yeah. So that's, anyway, regardless of that, it's really a great feature to have in your portfolio. So process report, application report, again, a number of the business use cases I mentioned. Ideas or projects or initiatives. You have a list of ideas, and then maybe those ideas are being converted into projects or initiatives, and then you want to track them, and then you want to see what is going on with them. It gives you an immediate live dashboard on those state of affairs. All right. So I've talked enough about the pie charts and queries. We're gonna move on to the management view in 1010. Again, it's a combination of a couple of things: 10.9 content, pre-10.9 content, and some of the 10.10 features mix and match together to provide a comprehensive view for the management. Again, we've seen some fantastic feedback about that, so I'm sure some of you guys will recognize that view. I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna open this.
Before you go on, so departments that are moving workloads to cloud. This is a way you could have your customers be able to look up which of their workloads have been moved to the cloud. Because you could have a query, right? List of workloads, and hey, where are they residing right now? So they can track their progress with stuff being moved to the cloud and go in and look at the details. So for shared services and other departments that are moving those workloads from on-premise to cloud, this is one way of giving access to that information. Sorry, Carol, go ahead.
No, that's great. Kevin, you were referring to this view, right? Or you're referring back to pie chart and
A little bit of both, actually.
a little bit of both. Okay, yeah.
Stuff right here too. Yeah.
So this is kind of out of the box configured desktop that we think resonates with management executives. Again, some of those needs might be different depending on what your role is. Here it's a little bit of everything. You will take a look at, there's in the investment report, There's business capability, there's time analysis, which gets you into the application portfolio management and rationalization. You got the business operating model. KPIs is sitting right there. You have a Gantt chart. You have more, sorry, I'm going to go back in here. You have, again, the examples of that contract report that I just showcased and more charts to drive some of the business insights for yourself and your organization. Now, when you start with my personal actions, let's say you do have certain things to approve within the organization, whether it's processes or whether, listen, we are moving and we are trying to decommission those 10 applications. Can you please make a decision on that? This will get into your My To-Do list or your inbox where you can essentially approve or deny content or provide comments or make decision about certain aspects of your organization. Now, in my subscriptions, let's say in my subscriptions, you want to have some of the additional stuff, such as innovations roadmap. You maybe want to have investment portfolio, investment models sitting right there. Investment portfolio information, procurement risks or risk associated information. Again, my subscription is just an easy way for you to find the relevant information, and we think that it'd be critical for somebody who is an executive to easily being able to find that content. The goal here is to minimize the number of clicks that you make to get to the right content.
These are like bookmarks, right?
That is right. Yeah, favorites or bookmarks. Now, here's you have, the statuses and some charts about what's happening with my organization, status and change requests, and controls or risks associated with my organization. And then we get into the reporting. We've heard many of times that folks want to combine both QualiWare reports with Power BI, and you want to have it present kind of in one environment. Well, fantastic. You can have a Power BI report sitting right there, and it will generate, the live data essentially, which you can slice and dice and do the analysis on. If I go back, if you want to take a look at the investment report, that investment report, by the way, have been since, correct me if I'm wrong, Kuno, it's been since 10.1. This investment report has been around, and that's something that we want, we want to refresh the memory of, and we want people to start using that. So investment portfolio project schedule. Here's the information that's automatically populated and formatted for all of your projects and goals, and what's the contribution level of those projects, and what's the cost of those projects, and probability of the investment and implementation of those projects sitting right there. You want to download as PDF, or do you want to download as a doc format or HTML, let's say, and you want to maybe post it somewhere else, could be done right there. So if someone needs a good old style PDF style format, you can find it right in the investment report there. Similar format would be a business capability summary report. Go in there, it will render and present you the information about your business capabilities and how are they associated with your organization and where are they delivered and what's the cost of them. Number of business capabilities and where are they delivered by the percentage of application versus process. What's the cost associated with that? The importance distribution pie chart, as well as scoring based on cost and maturity level and importance of those capabilities. And then it can go one by one into every capability and understand what's the importance and maturity of that business capability. What's the business value? See the business gauge over here, the performance indicators. Where are they delivered? So quite a lot of the information presented in one report, which you can easily download within snap of your finger, essentially. I will close that. And what if I would want to learn more about a state of affairs of my application portfolio? So application assessment, this will bring me directly to a query or a catalog of applications and its relevant scoring. I can do slicing and dicing based on the appropriate scoring in here and understand where we should be making those investments, or, drill deeper into individual information system and understand how it's relevant to the rest of my organization. I can export it to Excel or PDF again, or I can visualize it. Again, everything is sitting right there. We could also have enabled that. So I've enabled it as individual tiles, as you can notice. We could have enabled it as a QRV sitting just like that, and you don't have to click on anywhere. It basically sits there and feeds you the live data. Similar concept would be with time analysis, application rationalization, and understanding redundancies, and understanding where we should not be wasting our time on versus where we should be making those investments. So again, some of those catalogs would give an immediate information to the executives and management on what's happening and what are the capabilities I delivered. And if I want to learn a little bit more about the risk, I will see the risk. And if I want to understand where is it contained and what's the application landscape here, I would be able to click in it and find out. So that's reporting on, again, investments, capabilities, applications. Now, what if I want to have kind of a top level business function or business operating model here? And I'm going to go to the classic mode for this one. This is the number of the functions in your organization or top level processes, and you want to understand what's the performance relevant to those processes. Right away, the performance indicators will highlight you some things that you need to keep in mind and some things that you need to pay attention to. Look at that. There's a traffic light system here. We got a lot of red lights. So should we be paying attention to those? And should we be making appropriate changes or corrections in those business functions or processes? So again, within 4 clicks, you're able to understand what is happening with my organization. I'm going to go into this view because this is the 10 stuff. And you will notice that now we have catalogs sitting right on the main page. You don't have to click anywhere. And that's your KPIs. We have the KPIs. We know who's responsible for those KPIs. We know where they're being measured in, and what's the measure, objective, or goal, and what's the status of those KPIs. Again, you can slice and dice it, filter it, or if you want to learn more about the actual performance diagrams, or you want to learn more about the actual strategy model behind those KPIs and direction that the organization is moving to, you can take a look at it right there. So the view could be as simple as it needs to, but it could also become complex and in-depth. You can essentially calibrate that temperature of how much information you want to obtain and how many insights do you need to have in order to make a better decision in your organization. The last but not least, Gantt charts. Gantt charts is something which would greatly benefit any management or executive would benefit from seeing what's the schedule of projects, initiatives that we have in our organization. I want to see that customer data access component, relevant projects, and I want to understand what's the appropriate schedule of those projects. You can read it right there, and then if you want to read a little bit more about projects, you can just click on them and get more details in that. And not going to repeat myself, but obviously you can include some of those additional items with charts and queries and additional charts on the main page to drive more insights and enhance that decision-making process.
So we're really looking at things above the fold and below the fold, almost like the old style newspapers, right? Newspapers, all the important stuff was above the fold. You want the details, you flip down and look below the fold. So same way, in terms of putting a presentation, a layout together for a potential customer, right? But the important stuff that they're gonna, you think they're going to use or they say they're going to use, up above, but you've got other details down below. And if they don't like that, they can fix it by configuring their own custom view without involving you.
Keep in mind, guys, that all of that items is fully configurable, so you can set up your own personal layout. And if you want to make that, tile larger, you can just do it yourself. You don't have to ask the architect anymore or anybody else. That readjustment could be done on the fly. I actually, ironically enough, I do have it disabled in my case, but it is something that you guys could determine in your organization whether you want to enable it or disable it. You as well can enable, inline edit, and obviously you might not want to enable your users to fill out content on the fly and make the edits. So it is something that you determine essentially what you want to enable or not. I do want to show you something else quickly because that wasn't in here, but it's something that might be relevant to the executive view as well. And that would be a Power BI dashboard. Instead of, again, having the tile, you will have a dashboard item live on the main dashboard. So you have Power BI colliding and, complementing QualiWare reports and QualiWare dashboards. Everything's sitting in one place and feeding your decision-making process. Any questions, any comments at this point? All right. Okay. I'm going to go back to my slides. All right, so that's the management views in QualiWare. 1010, but realistically, it was a combination of a lot of different content that's been available forever. So, impact. Is there a question? No. Okay. All right. Impact analysis in QualiWare. So this feature has been available since 10.8, and that's something that you guys have seen on the dashboards, which is called Highlight If. We've taken a step forward essentially on establishing some of the scenarios and analysis use cases to drive, the better decision and storytelling and visibility into the impacts of your organization. So I'm going to be showcasing a couple of scenarios which we have built, and that scenarios could be directly applied into your organization. And it's not a final draft, because final draft is ultimately would need to be made in your organization, your repository, depending on what your impact factors are. And anyway, I'll get to that, but essentially it is something that we have completed on our end, and we are happy to work with any organization to implement it in your line of business. So I'm gonna go into discovery environment, and I'm gonna showcase you guys something that many of you guys have seen, and we've expanded on that. So I'm gonna open the enterprise landscape right now, and that's an Archimate model, by the way. And what it is, it's essentially an enterprise view within the repository. Here's you have your stakeholders, so people, and then value streams, and then capabilities, and then processes, applications. You have software, you have data centers, so infrastructure components. So you have really a lot of different layers of information and artifacts presented in one place. Well, and you have seen that before, and we've expanded on that. So what happens if we want to understand the impacts of data center on our organization? Well, look at that. If I click on data center dependency 1, it will highlight me the number of artifacts and objects in my environment that are being impacted by the data center. So what happens if outage happens? Or let's say we have a hack happened and it impacted one of the data centers. You will notice that this is number of objects that are being impacted. Well, what about if we click data center 2 Now, this recalculates the information and gives you, again, better impact visibility on the organization. And then finally, we have the AWS dependency. So you will notice again, out of those three, this one is the least impactful perhaps on our organization. Again, the factors would be different, but just by looking at the number of blocks and items, it might be one of the least impactful. But again, the factors could vary from organization to organization. So we took that concept and we wanted to march forward and establish another impact. Application end of life in 12 months. Again, something very relevant to application portfolio management. We decommissioned one of the applications in 12 months, and we want to see how it's going to impact on the rest of our organization. So again, it drives you that story on where we should be paying attention to as far as the investments, as far as our effort, as far as change management, and perhaps also strategy to execution landscape. So if you establish a certain strategy around your data centers or your applications, and you want to understand how it will impact, the rest of my organization, that impact analysis will really give you that storytelling. So that's one of the examples. We went beyond that, and we have also have taken the application landscape over here. And what happens if we apply the same concept to an application portfolio? And then obviously you guys have seen that there's a lot of out-of-the-box highlight ifs that really drive a lot of information to you. But what if we want to have some of our own application decommission in 12 months? Well, voila. So I'm an APM manager or an executive, and I want to learn quickly where my applications are being decommissioned in 12 months. Or maybe there was a redundancy in place, or maybe there was a risk associated with those applications, and how do I want to deal with it? So again, just by having those highlight ifs and impacts configured, you can drive an easy to understand story on what you should be doing next. So we took those applications and then we wanted to go further, and we wanted to get into the business process management space. So I talked to one of my team members and I said, listen, we've been, mapping out all of those processes, whether we're using BPMN, business process network in QualiWare. And then, we understand the impacts and we understand the overall sequence of a certain process or, a certain number of assets that we have in our organization. Well, we want to go beyond that. We want to understand what are those particular activities or processes represent as far as value to our organization. So now we've done the mapping. Now we want to do the analysis of those processes. And we've added this one, which is we basically going to call it the provide slope benefit. Based on a very simple factor, it will highlight the low benefit within that process line of business or process network. Imagine this are your processes, and based on certain factors, whether it's cost, whether it's effort, whether it's a citizen impact of those particular services or processes you deliver to citizens or taxpayers, whether it's performance and time, this will highlight you those processes and activities and give you that information right on the fly. We took beyond that, and we also did the same for the business BPMN diagram, so business process diagram. You have the map, you understand the map, and the sequence of a certain procedure launching a new project, let's say. But what if I want to learn a little bit more about the benefit and why do we need to have that activity or process in the first place? Do we need to have it at all? Well, what if we do have a low benefit or have no benefit at all, a value-added activity or value-added process? So now you're going just from business process mapping, now you're going into the business process analysis. And it gives you clear picture on what we should be doing next. So better decisions, less guessing on a particular process, a particular activity. Now, we took that and we also wanted to see, can we recalculate things on the go? So let's say we do have a factor, a certain factor in our organization, and we determine a very easy factor for this scenario. So it's a low benefit, it's a benefit total. We essentially, every time when we fill out qualitative description on that activity and call it low, this will highlight, it's a low benefit. But this could be a formula. This could be a function. This could be a number of factors that it could be effort, time, cost, quality, associated information systems, associated impact on citizenship delivered services, and then mishmash it together and give you a formula that provides you, those highlight if criteria. So you can click on that and say, you know what, it provides you a low benefit. So what if you do want to do that analysis on the go? Let's say the data being fed constantly into your system and it recalculates items. Well, let's say right now we only highlighted a couple of those low benefits. Just by running, and clicking on low or fill out the certain numbers, let's say, maybe it's economy, maybe it's cost, maybe it's time to deliver that service or process. This will recalculate entire set of impacts analysis. So obviously now we're going to have that approval of project. So imagine you would have that property sheet or a spreadsheet somewhere sitting there, and then the system would either semi-automatically feed that data from one of your APIs, or you would do it, manually if you want to do some of the scenario impact analysis play here, and then it would recalculate the information, and it would give you those insights around, what, it makes total sense. Somebody like myself filled out the info, send it to the manager and executive, and he shows, listen, we got 5 or 10 of those different services that don't deliver any value to our organization. Well, let's play another scenario. Let's recalculate things and provide more information on those properties and see how it recalculates our impacts. So I found that to be neat and exploratory. This is something that every organization would do differently as far as the factors. Obviously, low benefit factor would not be. It would be a very simple scenario. In your case, it could be a multiple factors. But if you guys are interested in that, reach out to CloseReach, and we'll be happy to provide you guys with guidance as well as work with you guys to establish with those factors and doing the impact analyses for your organization.
So I could have a highlight if a particular process or activity is going to come due in the next 12 months or in the next 3 months, and based on ratings given to me by the customer, it falls below a certain value. And if I look at the social behavior warehouse, nobody's ever gone to look at that thing. I could highlight or generate a QRV list of things that meet those combined criteria. Right?
Yep. That could be one of the use cases. Can you guys see how it could be useful in your organization? I don't see any faces, so I can't say your facial expressions where you're disappointed or whether you're excited, whether you're neutral about that.
I think it's really cool, but I'm, probably biased.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You are biased. You see. By no other means you're biased then. So anyway, guys, so let us know if it is something that you're interested in. We can run you through a more detailed demo. And again, you're taking the process map and you're taking the next step. You are now doing the process analysis based on cost, based on benefit, based on something else. It could give you that storytelling, and it could give you a prioritization also, right in one image. Last but not least, I want to showcase And that's going to be a regulation diagram. And that's something that we haven't done almost no work in that because it was available out of the box. Honestly, Kudo and I think Martin have done a fantastic job on establishing those highlight ifs out of the box. And I didn't see the purpose to reinvent the wheel. So we just used whatever is out of the box and it really makes sense. So relevant and compliant with objects. So imagine you have a regulation diagram and that's a standard ISO 27001. Could be ISO 40001, it could be 9001, could be anything else. You want to understand how this regulation or clauses are particularly relevant to your business, to your processes, to the services that you might deliver or data that you might uphold in your organization. So just by clicking one button, based on certain factors and linkages established on the back end, you're able to highlight relevant and not relevant content within that standard and see the clauses that are really the ones that you should be paying attention to. Similar concept would be to the relevant and compliant objects. Do we have any items that are currently relevant without the object? So we have right now relevant clause, but there's no object and there is no evidence associated with that clause. So we might have a problem. How do we deal with that problem? And similar concept would be audit scope and schedule completion, completed objective, and then target regulation and so on. So again, something that I haven't seen a lot of our clients are using. So this is just a reminder that that's available out of the box, guys, and that's a quite neat capability.
But the same concepts could be applied to TBS policies that you need to be compliant with, departmental policies, business rules that are in place, to highlight and show, that information. So highlight if, the samples that we get from QualiWare are fairly basic, but they don't need to be. They can be actually a fairly complex query to, highlight specific kinds of content.
Yeah. So we've taken those, some of those examples provided by QualiWare, and then we enhance them. And if you guys think you would want to explore that type of capabilities, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to work with you guys in that. Okay, I'm gonna move back to the slides. We're gonna be talking about this is the last, I guess, rubric that I have. It's going to be about AI governance and AI governance desktop. We're going to do a preview and a little bit of a teaser on what we've been working on. What is AI governance? So before I move on, and obviously there was already a description, but before I show that answer as far as what is AI governance, how many of you have heard about the AI governance previously? Please raise your hand. Anybody in the room there, guys?
No.
Can't see. Oh,
No.
All right.
Okay. All right. So AI governance, the short answer, really, AI governance is about set of processes and standards to ensure that your AI usage is safe, compliant, and ethical. It's ensuring that whatever you deploy within the organization and how it interconnects with the rest of the organization, it is safe, it is trustworthy, it is also compliant with potential standards, it is also compliant with certain risk management practices that you have in your organization, and it also helps you to make better decisions in your organization based on that AI connectivity with the rest of your organization. So AI governance is really an oversight practice for your AI deployment and usage. So this is a relevantly new term. It's been around only for 2 years. It was established in, I believe, September 2023, and it's been emergent and evolving since then. So I've seen a couple of demos from various vendors, and everybody is talking about a completely different item relevant to AI governance. Now, what we did is we did our due diligence and a little bit of a research on what the AI governance is really all about, and we identified a number of use cases that we would want to implement using QualiWare. So just a quick disclaimer. So two things. One, most of the items that we have created right now within that desktop is going to be out of the box configured. So no case maker work at this point. The goal is to keep it as low maintenance as possible. No maintenance effort required or overhead. The goal is to reuse the existing templates as much as possible so you can, use things out of the box. The second thing is we haven't tied AI governance to any of the AI governance frameworks that are out there right now. I mean, there's EU AI Act right now, which I believe it's passed already, right, Kuno? I bet it was, it is, yeah. So it is, and European companies obviously will need to comply with it, and there are some hefty bills that you have to pay if you don't. So here's a quick incentive for them to get themselves QualiWare for those purposes.
I'll talk about Canada because we've had a couple of discussions with a couple of different departments about this. So there's ISO 40001, which is an AI governance standard, ISO standard. You may not get registered, but you can implement all the best practices, and requirements from that standard. The other is OECD has an AI governance framework, and the government of Canada actually has one. If you do a search, you'll turn up, it has, I think, 8 different principles and 6 or 7 other factors. Shared Services is actually building their own based on the GC one, but adding a couple of other things that they figured they needed. So there are a number of frameworks out there that can be adopted and are present. So you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. And you can use the existing requirements models and things like that to drive governance and compliance to those things. So.
Thank you, Kevin. There's also a NIST. It's called NIST, NIST AI framework. And that's something that's it's on the rise as well, similar to EU AI Act and the others that you mentioned there. NIST is something that's going to be well defined in US. It might be also be evolving in Canada as well, in one shape or the other. So anyway, I'm going to move on to another slide. Why are we doing this? Well, first things first, we want to take care of a safe and trustworthy AI in our organizations. And as you guys are trying to automate processes and get rid of the manual labor by using AI, there's got to be a traceability in place and visibility of what AI is uses as far as data and what processes does it connect to with and what systems it will have to be involved in. And there are all sorts of the other items and aspects relevant to AI, which we need to have an oversight of. So that's one of the reasons to have AI governance in place. Risk management as well. Risk controls, being able to understand how deployed AI impacts on your risk management strategy and how can you mitigate that by applying appropriate controls to those AI risks. And then finally, compliance and audit readiness. As Kevin mentioned, number of frameworks and standards are evolving and emerging. So at some point we will see more of those frameworks being adopted, and some of the regulations are also might be passed in the parliament, or whether it's going to be adopted by the companies, organizations itself. The next one is very much relevant. Canada launches first register of AI usage in the federal government, and that's hot off the press from November 28th, 2025. It's about establishing on how AI will be used within the federal government, what information is used there, how it's connected to the strategy, and really what exactly is it used for. And that will be, from what I understand, it will be also open to the public, be open to the taxpayers. So it is very much relevant topic. Now, last but not least, preview. This is something that's work in progress, something that might evolve and change as we are developing that desktop. But we want to have a number of use cases implemented here, and one of them will be AI registrar. So imagine your organizational unit that want to request a new AI. You have to essentially have a place, a dedicated space where you can request that new type of an AI software or a model or service. And then you want to review that register, modify that register. You might want to have an onboarding questionnaire and survey for those users to understand why do you need to use an AI and how it might impact in the organization, and fill out the appropriate questions to determine the eligibility of that AI in the organization. You would want to understand how it's being used, so the data sets as well. How do we handle that information relevant to AI? So that might drive into the data modeling, data mapping, and associated data entities to in regards to what AI is using right now. Infrastructure. What kind of infrastructure AI will be used, and where is it impacted, and how it's relevant to deploying particular AI models and services? Are we deploying on Azure Foundry, or are we doing on-premise LLMs? Let's say we take Claude and then we just put it on one of our local servers on premise, and we run it this way. Catalogs. We would want to have a catalog around AI, processes, systems, people. We want to understand who is responsible and accountable for a certain AI initiatives, and then associated processes and how it impacts on the existing systems in the organization. And do we have 3 systems that does one use case, but then the AI is coming into play, and maybe it's going to replace all of them, or maybe it will replace and automate some of those processes that are present right now in our portfolio. What are the associated systems and processes? Again, what's the library of the policy standards and regulations that we need to be aware of? So internal policies, standards of frameworks that we might want to follow, or regulations that might be in place that we have to comply with regardless whether you want it or not. AI risk overview. We want to connect AI governance also to the risk and controls. What are the associated risks with AI, and how do we apply those controls and mitigate that risk? AI and compliance matrix. So we want to understand, regulatory landscape as well as gap. Perhaps with one of those frameworks or NICE standard. What's that standard that you mentioned, Kevin? Was it 42,001 or 41,001?
2001. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So what if we want to be compliant with it, and we want to see how the current stack of our AI elements and our processes and controls in place help us to achieve that? Is it in compliance with a certain, again, standard or a certain regulation? What are the incidents registered relevant to AI usage? What's the governance history in place? So we will enable a governance workflow, particular for the AI handling. It could be very much sequential. It could be you start in from requesting the new AI, you fill out the onboarding questionnaire, and then you're waiting for assessment to be done by your legal, by compliance teams, by risk, by your IT security people to understand, do we even need to have that AI in place? We might already have something in place, so maybe it's something that we can cope with as far as the risk, so it might be a no-go. So we would develop a governance workflow in place to create that oversight process. And then finally, inventory of approved AI models and services. So you might want to review a dedicated view on what are the AI models right now in place, services, where is it deployed, how is it deployed, and again, what processes, people, systems are currently using those models and services. So, any questions, any comments?
I'll add one thing. If you do a search just in Google, you can search for Government of Canada AI assessment tool. So there's a manual assessment tool that already exists that the government's pushed out there. And we've looked at it and said you could use a QualiWare questionnaire to get those assessments done. So in the same way you do APM work in QualiWare, right? With your annual go out to all your application owners, you do the same thing from an AI perspective. Gather the questionnaire information back together and either put it together in some format that the Treasury Board wants, or just for your own internal departmental usage. So that assessment tool right now, which is manual, you can automate here in the existing capabilities of the tool. So something to consider going forward. And hot topic, right? So if you want to demonstrate relevance, this is one way.
You've noticed we had to put all sorts of AI labels, right? It's got to be an AI stuff nowadays. So this is our way of staying relevant.
Carol, what template did we actually find the checkbox on?
You mean the AI usage checkbox?
Yeah.
It's present right now in every single object in QualiWare. Under governance, AI usage, now you have three form properties. One of them is AI service, AI model, and then AI model description, and then one of them is checkboxes confirm that this content has been created by AI. So
Actually have AI creating content and you want to flag that stuff. So a couple different ways that's already being baked into the tool. So
So do you have documentation on how to do all this,
how to do,
to set up the dashboard like this?
this is just work in progress. Is
This
this
is a
Dave?
sneak, that's Dave. This is a sneak
Dave,
peek,
okay.
Dave.
Yeah, it's a sneak peek, Dave. It's something that we're working on internally. And no, I don't have documentation yet.
but truthfully, this is just like every other desktop in the system.
The titles I'm not too concerned
Yeah.
with, but
But
It's
underlying
what I can
queries
see.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at, what we do in ISO 9001 or 27001 in terms of gap analysis and things like that. Here's the standard. Here's all the content. Where do I have coverage and where don't I? You can do exactly the same thing with the Government of Canada framework or ISO 42001 or whatever. Those things, it's a different application of the same queries, really. So that part is actually pretty easy. But yeah, building out the different registers and things like that.
So when we develop it and present it, Dave, we typically develop a 2-pager highlighting a number of items that's included as far as the use cases, and some of that might give you, some additional information on that. So stay tuned for that.
It was just warning you ahead of time to get it ready.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Send me the Christmas card, okay?
That's right. The slide at the beginning said preview. Sneak
Preview,
peek.
guys. The teaser.
The teaser.
I do want to highlight something that, because Kevin keeps talking about the frameworks, I do want to highlight that right now it's framework agnostic. So you could basically map out any type of framework to that. But the goal was here to build, a neat desktop relevant to the AI governance use cases, regardless of what framework it is. Because if you are managing AI you do need to have a register. You do need to understand what data is being used. You do need to have an onboarding process in place. You do need to understand how it's relevant to the rest of the organization. Thus, we have catalogs and processes and systems. You do need to have a stack of policies, control libraries, risks, and so on. That's framework agnostic. That's, universal approach to AI governance. So we know that those frameworks will be emergent and evolving, and there's going to be framework ABC and XYZ and so on. At the end of the day, that stack of, desktop features will be probably relevant to most of those frameworks that are being released right now and in the future.
So we already know that AI group in a couple of different departments. How are they doing? How are they starting this off? They're using a spreadsheet, right? That's how they're doing it.
I love spreadsheets.
Yeah, well, here's a better way, right? And so if you're going to those, if those AI groups are getting stood up in your different departments, now you can show them the end of this little video and say, I have the tool already deployed to help you build this stuff out and to share information across the organization. So.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right, so
Carol.
thank you. Stay tuned for more information. Kuno, I'm sure you were impressed. I'm just
It was
teasing.
great.
There you go.
I have just a small comment related to the desktops. As you can see when you go through the desktops, they have changed the way that you interact with the tool, and the fact that the tiles typically are following a journey. It comes from a customer journey analysis and top task analysis we did using Edgy, by the way. And what we found was that we needed to include somehow a way of working in the user interface. Everybody says EA tools are becoming more and more complicated. We wanted to make it easier, and it's been received quite well actually with those sort of journey-oriented tiles. And it also has resulted in the desktops are not just EA desktops, so strategy, process, information, application, and so on and so forth. The desktop has become more purpose-driven. So there is a desktop maybe for ISO 27001, or there's a desktop for DORA, and the different type of regulations and usages of the tool. And those desktops will have a journey that you need to perform that. So actually, the risk management tile, for example, will appear in multiple different desktops because risk management is part of multiple different journeys. And I think that what we see is that maybe that sort of journey-oriented appearance will also be something that you, as an enterprise architect in your business, would be able to benefit from. Because enterprise architecture doesn't really have out of the box a journey. Typically, it will have a Sagman-oriented framework, but there is a different, there's some purpose-driven journeys that ends up in a specific result, and that may be a new way of thinking about enterprise architecture in general. So maybe a little bit more methodology-oriented view. But it's been quite well received, and it's easier to work with. It's easier to find the functionality that you're looking for a specific purpose.
Agreed.
I absolutely agree, Kuno. Absolutely. There's new, both desktops, but also the flow of the dashboards, getting started, evaluate your current situation, then do the analysis, and then do the evaluation, and then fill out the information. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Common sense approach, which we highly appreciate.
Yeah, and it takes everything that you need for a specific purpose on one desktop. So you don't have to switch all the way through processes here and applications here and so on. You basically have everything on the desktop in front of you. So it's been received quite well actually.
It has. We've shown it. We've had several briefings now with our customers, and the feedback has been very good. It's much easier to navigate, less clicking. It's been very. They've been impressed. Carol has developed a really cool little frame thing that takes you from a 10:9 view to 10:10.
Mhm.
So you can slider that goes back and forth, and it shows the difference on one screen, and it's really cool. So
Great.
okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your marathon presentation. I know
Yeah.
you were.
Happy to help.
Carol was having a little bit of a not great week in terms of health and not feeling great. So really do appreciate your ability to join us today and present all of this for us.
Well, I can tell you that demo preparation is the best medicine. I feel myself great.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. So thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate it. Kuno, I know it's really late for you, so off to bed you go.
That's fine. That's no problem.
But thanks everybody for joining us. We won't see you now until after the holidays. So everybody have happy Christmas and happy New Year. We'll see you in 2026. Our next meeting will be January 26th. We're back to our normal schedule. So that's the last Monday of January. Carol is going to talk about AI capabilities in 1010. And we're going to have Kuno back as a special guest, which means this time he's going to present something to be determined. So stay tuned.
We have a lot
it will be
already.
Good. It will be a surprise. So Kuno will present. And if there's things that you guys want to talk about before then, if you'd like to send me your input on things that you're interested in exploring in more detail, we're happy to do that. Yes, Brenda.
Or if you have something that you've done you want to share with the community, we're interested.
Yeah, user stories are greatly appreciated. I hope everyone got some Danish pastries at the meeting.
We did.
Good,
Thank you.
good.
I didn't.
And
I didn't, Brenda.
well, it's in the office, Carol. Have someone
Next
take
time I'll
some for
send
you.
I'll send you my address, okay?
And I just wanted to thank you guys, Kevin, for raising the Infotech software reviews. So we are looking for reviews, and as Kevin said, it is a bit of a numbers game with our vendor friends. So reviews are good for a 2-year term with Infotech, and any effort to submit one would be greatly appreciated by us. So thank you for raising that with your community.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the new year.